Welcome back to Sandstone Speed Shed. In the land speed racing, there's really only two seasons out of a year. Race season and getting ready for race season. We're staring at this block, just assembled loosely in the frame, because it's time for part 2 of the turbocharger build-up for this 75 Honda. It's gonna be CBF, bro. And start working on the exhaust pipe.
That's right, this is episode 6 of Sandstone Speed Shed. It's been a long time coming. Got a bunch of work done over the past couple weeks, so here's the video.
One of the challenges for this particular build is the mix and match frame. If I was to have some semblance of an equal length header, this pipe, while closest to the collector, also needs to be just as long as this one, way over here. We've gotten a start on tacking segments together. I wanted to show you what is helping me in this quest, since I only have 2 hands and they're dedicated to the welder.
I picked up this welding hack from a fellow YouTuber. It's really simple. A couple of pipe clamps, a piece of scrap metal, and you got yourself a jig to hold your pipes in alignment. Making this system was a lot of cut and weld and grind and cut, and I got through it eventually. It just took a couple of weeks between shipping delays and just the amount of time spent making this system. So far, it's been the most labor-intense part of the build.
The doctor is back.
And there I go, modeling some teal blue fire-resistant safety sleeves my buddy brought me. I didn't feel like wearing a sweater. It wasn't especially cold in the shop, so these came in really handy to keep hot chips off my arms. Now if I could just do something about the ones that hit me in the face, that'd be nice.
Look what showed up. One tiny little turbo. So, we're going to fire up the drill press and punch a hole in some aluminum.
So I could have ordered a set of flanges to go with this turbo, but what people charge these days for parts that may or may not fit, I can put the time in and come up with pieces that I've crafted myself. Every piece is a learning opportunity.
And a moment of truth. If my drilling was worth a damn. Quick deburring of the holes, and you should have alignment.
And here we are back at the bandsaw cutting this 6061 aluminum. I really need to replace the blade on this thing. I don't think it was ever set up with a proper bimetal blade, and towards the end of this project, it was taking me a half an hour to make a cut. These videos are sped up a lot, just so that you can get an idea of what has been put into this project.
I had originally hoped to put quite a charge pipe on here, but now that I see the way the exhaust and everything will behave, I'm going to actually shorten my charge pipe.
Okay, so I paid too much for an underperforming lathe, which means when I do certain operations,
I found him in a junk pile.
it makes Wookiee noises. But it's still good to have around.
And we're back with more of everybody's favorite footage and bonus fan noise. One turbocharger. smaller than I expected. I suppose that's not a bad thing. Delivery day at Sandstone Speed Shed. Viral unboxing video. Take one. So, surprise, surprise, it's more exhaust pipe.
This material is 1¼ 60 wall aluminized mild steel. And it was basically the only mandrel bent tubing option I could get off of Amazon. Now I should have ordered 2 at the start of the project because they charged $20 for shipping. And I really wish it would have just been delivered in 2 days by Prime. Sure could have used that money elsewhere.
And on Sandstone Speed Shed, we often feature the 1x30 belt grinder.
I've completely lost track of how many hours I have spent sanding tubing throughout the duration of this project.
So to give it a helping hand in making a positive exhaust seal, I've got these. Some welded steel rings. And in order for these little Sonic the Hedgehog bits to fit in the cylinder head with the exhaust pipe, I've got to turn them into this.
So this was an easy job on the lathe. Just had to work really close to the truck in order to make these parts turn down. And of course, all the chatter made more Wookiee noises.
And now I'm pretty sure I have metal shavings in my hair. Always delightful. Since I am building this to fit a Honda 554, I have to do everything multiple times.
This was one of the more fun welds that have gone into the bike. Just tacking these on in a circle, and I don't know if I should include like a seizure warning. I actually ended up manual pulsing the pedal for the TIG machine as I went around just to make sure I get the perfect amount of melted metal to fuse together and hold these rings in place. I explained earlier, these are to help the exhaust system seal in the ports. The downside is, they kind of come back to bite me later in the video, because they are very snug fit in the cylinder head. So they keep things really in alignment throughout the process of installing and removing the pipes. But it made some good video footage, and I was pretty happy with the result.
So in a classic case of leap before you look, the rings I welded on these pipes changed the approach angle of my runners. So I had to do a little bit of backtracking. Magnets, they're amazing, aren't they? Because this channel totally needs more chop saw footage, I'm going to tempt fate here. So, you could say things took a bit of a turn here as I decided keeping pipes inside the bike would be a greater priority than having a cool looking chain link hanging off the side. Would have been like that. And I decided against that in favor of this, which is still very much Spaghetti-O, but more aero in addition to that. I need to mount the carburetor to the turbocharger for a draw-through setup, which requires making flanges and a little standoff pipe so that I can actually, tilt this into orientation. Anyway, I grabbed some of my big aluminum coupons and traced the patterns on her. There's one small problem. The turbo inlet is bigger than my available pipe, and the carburetor is much bigger. So, because of, budget setbacks and delivery times and deadlines and all these things I impose on myself, I'm going to machine a mid-pipe. Alright, I got you folks front row seat to all the action. Let's go for it. I also realized I should probably set up my drill stop so I don't bore out excess material.
So this drill bit, this one cut through the aluminum just fine. The next one, on the other hand,
We're just going to step this up big time.
this one was all like, welcome to Jurassic World. Jokes aside, making this part was actually a lot of fun.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And I'm about to show off my homemade boring bar, which I basically ground by hand and managed to fit down in that 3/4 inch hole enough that I could get away with taking this up to final size.
Then, after a good bit of dinking around, I gave myself a little more fastener clearance, redid this taper, and even managed some semblance of an internal taper, which I may have to do by hand, I don't know. So anyway, time to part this off and see what I'm looking at as a total package. Whoa, what did I just break? No, I broke my tool bit. I tried to part it off with the grooving tool, as you saw, and ended up breaking a carbide bit. So this last little bit got hacked apart, but it doesn't matter because it's getting welded on here. Thankfully, I remembered before it was too late. These holes need to be sized so it can become one of these holes. Now I did this so that I can bring it in manually and get the tap to start.
This was the series of cuts where I ultimately thought to myself that I need to replace this bandsaw blade. This is taking a long time, and it honestly took 4 times longer than what you're seeing here on video. Times 4, because I had to cut all the sides of the diamond out. And then I had to do it all over again because I needed to make 2 like parts of different sizes. Those were the pieces that you saw drawn out on the coupons before I went to the drill press and did the stuff with the taps. this was all complicated by the fact that aluminum becomes a little sticky as it gets hotter.
I'm really starting to dislike welding aluminum. But I got her dead. One of the more difficult things I've ever fabricated. And if I can find my 10 mil. And I could have avoided it, I guess. Putting some lubrication on them makes doing the deed a little easier. That's what she said. Winter night here at Sandstone Speed Shed. I'm about to do some more fit-up welding on the exhaust for the turbo bike. It was stopped previously. I put together the 4 header pipes, 1.25 inches. Now the collected gases will go down 1.5 inches and meet the turbo inlet.
And we're back with another Sandstone Speed Shed montage of welding and cutting and more cutting, and then there'll be more welding. And I'll shut up, just here's some music.
I made pie cuts. A few of them. Try to make this dump pipe as interesting as I can. So, 1.5 inch exit. 37-degree cut. And looks like a glove. I'm having camera problems. And it's my fault for not looking at the front screen. Finished welding a dump pipe. Hopped off the Sandstone Struggle Express. I'd rate this as some solid $13 an hour welding. If that was delivered out of a catalog, I would be very upset. But I made it myself. So all I can really do is remember that country song about my favorite things being homemade. I'm also comparing myself to a lot of robot welders. Humans versus robots. Yeah. Then there's guys like Kane Kid that can just lay down a stack of dimes like a casino dealer with cards. Next up, the final pipe to the turbo inlet. This right here, that's stainless steel. And this is all basically old fence post. So, in order to weld stainless steel to classic steel, you need to bring out the big guns. And by big guns, I mean ER308L. It's another day at Sandstone Speed Shed. And all the pie cuts are welded. The collector is fastened. And the head bolts are torqued. Ta-da! The last pieces of the squiggly wiggly exhaust pipes have been prepped and fitment has been decided. It's mint if you squint. Also, weld pull sucks. My ports don't line up in the head. The first frost of winter is upon us. No problem. We have a solution for that. So, I'm just going to start warming up this pipe as I stare and think about what I've done. Well, this is lame. Let's turn the heat up. You know that feeling when you're just glad something's over with? It is done. It took so much time and effort to make this system. More than the suspension and swing arm in the back. Like, that stuff was easy. This was hard. But it's done. It's so done. And I am ready to move on.
That about wraps it up for the 6th episode of Sandstone Speed Shed. We put together the turbocharger system for our altered classic Honda 550 race bike, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks for watching.